we both cast you, and what was your reactions like, you know, when you found out?
My reaction, because John is a jerk, and he calls me up and he says, "Hey, we're gonna cast somebody else. We're gonna put Frank in as Dylan." And I was like, "Oh yeah." John calls me up. He's like, "We're gonna put Frank in as Dylan." I was like, "You serious, John?" And he's just like, "Yeah, because you got Christopher." I was like, "You dickhead." I was just like, all right. And so, you know, I was like, "All right, thank you." And yeah, that's the only way John would have told me. He's, you know, he would have never given me too good of news. He's got to keep me grounded, but you know.
Well, because I remember John called me right after he called you, and his exact words are something along the lines of, "That is the exact reason why I wanted to do this, because of her reaction."
I was so excited. And like I said, I related to the character, and it is the first real feature film that I'd done where, you know, I was a principal role. I was so excited about it.
I mean, I was excited, but I was extremely nervous because, I mean, you know, there's investors, there's a crew, there's, you know, this, I mean, anything I've made thus far has been mostly made like either, you know, my friends and I made it independently. I mean, I've worked with John many times before, and you know, it's always been like the only people I'm going to let down is just me and my friends. Whereas, you know, this opens it up to.
There's money involved.
Yeah, there's money involved. There's a lot involved. So it was like yes, I got the part. Holy crap, can I play this part? And so, you know, it was nerve-wracking, but it was so that was something I had to get used to. And I mean, it was a good transition to have, you know, someone like John and Frank, who I'd been friends with for a while, and, you know, like you and Derek, who I was, you know, just becoming friends with. So that helped the transition, but it was still like, oh my gosh, this is something bigger than I've done. So.
Like I said, I've always just like enjoyed how different arts work together. I can remember playing in the pit orchestra for my high school's musicals, and although it was so fun, you had actors on stage or students, and you had like students backstage who were in the crew, and you had students in the pit orchestra playing the music, and all these different talents were coming together to form one product. And so I don't know. I like film anyway, and I was like, yeah, of course you can.
Well, for a while,
why would I say no?
For about 4 drafts, it was actually just called Untitled, because it was like, well, yeah, all right. I was inspired to write it. I'm like, oh, maybe if he doesn't give me permission, all right, well, we'll never ask him. So it was called Untitled for a little bit, and I was just finally like, can I ask him if
That's
he
like
can use it?
the title Untitled is like the story of my life.
Yeah.
I hate titling things. People are always like, oh, what's a new song called? Like, actually, like another song that you threw in the movie, that's the same thing happened. You're like, what should we call this, Nate? I'm like, I don't know. I've had the song for a few months, and I can't decide what to call it. And yeah, I hate naming things, and so I just use like the first 2 words of the of the song, which I've actually heard people say. I've shown it to a few like songwriting professionals or whatever, and people are always like, interesting title, because it's not like the hook line of the chorus. And I was like, I don't know, it just made a lot of sense to me. It was just like, there's no footing left to stand on it.
What were some of your interesting memories of filming, like specific days or locations, or?
The day that I got pulled over on 95 on my way to set, and my license was suspended, and John and Derek had to come and pick me up.
I love that day because that was probably the only day that you were way later than me, because I'm allergic to being on time.
You were late today.
Yeah, I was late to this. Yeah. I was late to this very interview. I like to shoot at the park. I don't know. It was overall just, you know, very easy day, because it was, you know, really it was a fun day. It was one location. It was, you know, I mean, it was just us. We had no real extras to worry about, and that was I mean, not that that's a bad thing, but it was an easy day. It was easy to, you know, have to worry about nothing but walking down a path and talking at a car. You know, that was kind of cool. And I got to change clothes, and she didn't know it. I got to change clothes and jog past you on the path, and like she, was like, what the hell are you doing here? And I was just like, oh, hey. I was like, whoa, she's totally keeping it together there. Like, I was surprised.
That was the, I guess what we could call the marathon weekend, but we shot down at Bean's Coffee Shop until 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then Jensen and I had to work most of the day the next day, and then we had to come back and shoot all that day Sunday. So I kind of find that funny that both of you who would say that was such a fun day.
I don't know, probably just because of how like we were there till 3 in the morning, and then like I said, with the whole not having to deal with extras, you know, in the parking lot of the coffee shop, having to deal with the people across the street, you know,
who were pulling their pants down.
Oh yeah, drunks pulling their pants down, like walking into frame, and that just, there's so many external headaches that night that the next day to have none was great. You know, like the periodic, you know, guy on a bike. That's all you had to worry about, and so it was cool.
It was a very late night, and I remember there was a lot of people who were watching us outside, because the beginning of the night was an outdoor scene, and all these people, like, I remember, came out the back of the house next door to the cafe we were at, and we're just watching, and then started to, like, throw things. They were, like, trying to get on camera.
They were a little drunk.
Because that's really cool, yeah. And they just were sitting there watching, and I remember you just, like, stopped, and we just stood there, and I was like, this could take a while. And then finally, like, 20 minutes later, they went back inside.
I think it was such a hot and humid night.
Yeah,
that
it was.
Eventually realized that they weren't going to get a rise out of us,
Yeah.
so they finally
Yeah.
went. I think one guy ran over behind a shot, taking his pants off.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. He was trying to like moon the shot.
But this was in Woodstown, New Jersey, which is like, if you go down to this area of Jersey, it's all open farmland, and it's like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I was driving through, and I was like, where am I going? You told me there was like some cafe with a piano there, and I'm like, all right, and yeah, just like open like fields and
yeah,
like middle of
cow
nowhere.
country.
Yeah.
We got it. We got it.